Hi, I'm Bybreen Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology. Well, this week we have a beautiful new moon in Libra that takes place on October the 13th. Before I explain all of that, there's another aspect that precedes this new moon, and that's a conjunction between Mercury and the North Node, equally in Libra, that takes place on October the 12th. And so this new cycle, this new beginning, is an invitation for us to live far more selflessly. It's about us choosing to temper the Martian energy that's coming from the opposition to this aspect, because the North Node and Mercury are in Libra. They're opposing Uranus, which is in Aries. And Aries is about asserting oneself, whereas here it's about goodbye Aries, hello Libra. We're into articulating the needs of other people, being really clear about that, showing up, really understanding, because we spent time listening to what it is that other people need and require of us, because we've just had Mercury go direct after its 3-week retrograde cycle. We have assimilated our own understanding of what it means to show up in a collaborative, harmonious way, and we're able to do that far more freely. So we're able to express ourselves, express our needs, and to share what we're feeling and thinking with others, but also to take on what they're feeling and thinking and articulating it in some way. Well, there's another aspect to Mercury, which is sextiling Saturn. So here, it's another expression to really be able to articulate the needs of others, but with the fine detail. This is serious in terms of what it is that other people require. And in our preparations for our communications, it's about being thorough and showing up and presenting our case, whereby we feel that we're expressing it in a way where people will truly understand what it is that is needed of us or of them in a particular situation. So that sets up this new moon that's taking place on October the 13th. And the new moon essentially is where we have the sun and we have the moon conjuncting each other. It's in Libra. And so the theme that's arising from all of this is balance. That's a central theme for this week. How do we balance ourselves? How do we live harmoniously? And the name of the game really is harmony and balance. And it's also, because we're entering this realm of newness, there is very much this sense that we can't go back to what was once the way we lived our lives. And so here we are. How are we harmonizing our internal worlds? How are we harmonizing our external worlds? And that's been called of us because we've got this opposition. We've got the opposition between Libra and Aries. We've got the opposition between the new moon and Uranus in Aries. And so here we are, we have the chance and the ability to see all sides of situations. Because we're dealing with the sun and the moon, we're dealing with our core identities. It's opposing the area of relationships. And so it's about harmonizing and balancing our core needs, our core identity and our core way of expressing ourselves with those of other people. And if we've done the work that the eclipses required of us in Virgo and all that, the planetary movements through Virgo, it was a very busy month. Here, now we have the chance to show up and express ourselves in a far more authentic way. One of the things that you may have noticed, having lived through that, the Virgoan energy, is that you started to shed, you started to trim away the excesses in your life. And where you haven't done this and you're still holding on to your comfort zone, then just bear in mind that you have Uranus, which is opposing this new moon, and Uranus is going to show up to challenge you to let that go. And so that could be done quite suddenly. Uranus might actually stir you up emotionally, challenging you to cut loose, to let go, or something might be removed from you in a quite unexpected way. And what Uranus is showing up to to shine the light on is you're still hanging on to the status quo, and the more you hang on to the status quo is the more that you're preventing yourself from moving into this new way of being, which actually your soul is requiring you to do. So, as I mentioned, that this new direction is about harmonizing your core identity with your core emotions, but also because we're dealing with an opposition here, you've got to be careful that you're not living under the shadow of other people, so that you're feeling a suppression of who you really are. So what this aspect is encouraging you to do is to really claim and own who you are, but not cut off and do it in a very selfish way. It's about claiming who you are, but also doing that in the context of relating to other people. So their needs can be heard and met, and your needs can be heard and met. And so here it's about balancing the expectations of everybody involved. What we're also going to see, having gone through this Virgoan energy, and we're now in the Libran energy, which is about self and others, in my view, I think we're going to see more of how celebrities, which is very much about the excessive world, and having come through Virgo, it's about how we're going to perceive celebrities and how they may start showing up in our world, is in a far more pared back way. And what I mean by that is they have star quality, but instead of beaming the light on themselves, they're using their light to highlight issues that are taking place in the world, and people have already started to do that. But I'm thinking there's going to be more of this developing as we move into this very conscious way of living. So, for example, if you take somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio, he's a very well-known environmentalist, and recently he's been involved and he produced this excellent documentary called Cowspiracy, The Sustainability Secret. And through his involvement, he was able to negotiate a deal with Netflix, and Netflix live streamed this fantastic documentary via Netflix, which was on September the 15th, and September the 15th is very much within the Virgoan cycle. And so the documentary really is an analysis of animal agriculture and the whole business of animal farming and agriculture, and its impact on global warming and water depletion and deforestation and species extinction and the ocean dead zones. And so what we're seeing is how all of us are raising our vibrations, raising our consciousness, so that we begin to see the impact of how we live in the world and how this is literally killing planet Earth. So that's a trend that I think we're just going to see more of, coming from celebrities, but from us as lay people as well, doing our part to save this world, to save this environment. So other aspects that are also supporting this new moon and the Mercury conjunction with the North Node, we've got this aspect, we've got Chiron, which is in Pisces, and it's sextiling Pluto. And here it's another encouragement towards this new way of being, new beginnings, because where you have an aspect between Chiron and Pluto, and it's a sextile, so it's a soft aspect, it's a natural encouragement towards us to have a symbolic death, and the symbolism will be around an old attitude, a characteristic, personality, a way of being. So for example, if you were somebody who showed up as really immature, that's all over. The time for that has come to an end, because the symbolic death is no longer working for you or anybody else that you're interacting with. And so where we're dealing with the symbolism around death, that means that we faced the death of something which would have caused us emotional pain. Having lived through that pain, we now have arrived at a place whereby there's a greater sense of peace and confidence and certainty in terms of how you can now show up in the world. And also it's a great aspect for you to really listen to, believe in, and follow your instincts. They're there. Use them in the situations that they're pointing to. Other aspects include we have Venus, which is this week conjuncting with Mars, and Mars is conjuncting Jupiter, and that's all trining Pluto. So I made reference to the Mars, Jupiter, Pluto aspect last week, but I just want to touch on it because we have Venus here. And so this is a time for you to graciously show up and to actively pursue that expansive goal, dream, or mission that you have in your life, because it's about serving yourself, but serving the masses, which, you know, just flows on from what I mentioned about how we begin to treat ourselves and look after the environment, or a cause that's going to impact on a wide variety of people. So that's all fantastic. So there's lots of positive energy to go out there and pursue it. However, do just bear in mind that all of this is opposing Chiron, and Chiron, as I mentioned, is in Pisces. And so while you're pursuing this fantastic vision, be mindful not to sacrifice an aspect of yourself or an aspect of a daily reality in pursuit of this ideal. Okay, so you can still do it. We're looking at an opposition, so it's about balance. Don't be overwhelmed, and don't sacrifice aspects of who you are in pursuit of this. While we're there with Venus, I also want to bring to your attention that Venus is coming under stress, and the stress this time is coming from Saturn as well as Neptune. So Venus opposes Neptune. Neptune is equally within Pisces even, and then we have Venus squaring Saturn, and Saturn is in Sagittarius. And so, well, we have Venus. Venus is a symbolism for love. It's also about our values and what's meaningful to us, because it's squaring Saturn. So you might have this sense of being overcritical when it comes to your relationships. So what I think Saturn is really calling for here is for you to be discerning about the qualities that are showing up in your relationships, and actually what you're receiving and giving in this relationship, does it match up to that ideal that you have? And then you have Venus opposing Neptune, and so this potentially could show you where you're being deceived in a relationship, because Neptune is about illusions. And so here again, it's about pausing, stepping back and examining your relationship, and not being not taking an idealistic view of your relationship. So you've got Saturn, which is about realities, you've got Neptune, which is about the idealism, and you're striking that balance between actually Venus is in Virgo, so it's in quite a purified sign. Be honest about what it is that you're seeking from your relationships. What are you contributing towards your relationships? Be discerning, and once you've had a chance to assimilate all of that, then obviously it's about expressing that to those who you are relating to. So that's it for this week. The themes, very strong theme here, is about balance and harmony and how you're able to do that. And I want to leave you with a quote from Confucius. And what he said is, balance is the perfect state of still water. Let that be our model. It remains quiet within and not disturbed on the surface. So how are we able, through this week, and actually how we're able to integrate this principle throughout our lives, where we remain unruffled in the face of whatever life throws at us? So if you found any of this useful, feel free to share it with your network. If you've got any comments, I would love to talk with you. Put them in the comment box below, and feel free to subscribe to this channel. Have a great week, and I will speak to you again soon.